Hello and welcome to AstroMingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the twinky lightworkers and the magical influencers of our time. In this emerging age of Aquarius, it's come up of a new modality, the soul mapping paradigm of human design. In the last 5 years, in fact, I've seen in my astrology readings a dramatic business change where my clients are coming in aware of human design, they have references to it, and they ask questions for it in my own reading. And tonight's guest is not only an innovative human design practitioner and a friend of the show, but he's also going to be part of our upcoming Lightworker Summit, Unite the Light, on May 17th and 18th in Nashville, Tennessee. So we're excited to have him, but before we talk about him, let's talk about actually Unite the Light. We have tickets for sale, and we are so excited. Tonight we're announcing our first panelist that will be on the show. It's a featured presenter, and we'll also be talking about and rolling out our presenters for the rest of the weekend. So keep a lookout for our social media. We'll be telling you who is coming. I cannot tell you how excited I am with the roll-up that we have and some of the things that we're doing. We're doing some things at Unite the Light that have never been done before. And not only that, it's a chance to get together with other lightworkers. Now, if you haven't noticed, things are starting to get tense. And part of Unite the Light is about coming together and helping each other out, coming up with solutions and networking. It's a place where you can find people just like you. And if you're a lightworker or an emerging lightworker, we are your family. So here's a little something special to tell you a bit more about Unite the Light. The Unite the Light Lightworker Summit is reborn in 2025, May 17th to 19th, reincarnating in Nashville, Tennessee, the capital of country music light. If you live to make the world a better place, we invite you to gather and co-create for 2 days. Day 1, meet curated, love-infused influencers sharing strategies and innovation. Day 2 calls for conscious conversations. Lightworker power panelists discuss industry urgent topics. And for the first time, you requested, we co-created a third day, a 36-hour, ultra-private, closed-door whisper summit. We call it Afterglow, where 2 or more gather. Afterglow is a secret identity congress of light, featuring high-wattage leaders of light who share unpublished career advice and trade secrets. It all takes place in the luxurious Gaylord Opryland Hotel, where you may enjoy a full spa, poolside drinks, and tasty dining. And don't miss the Honky Tonk Supper and Step Networking event happening Saturday night. Wear cowboy attire, feast, learn astro secrets about you and cosmic allies. Consider this an invitation. Let us celebrate our ascension at the brightest gathering of love in the world. Tickets on sale now at unitethelight.love. That's unitethelight.love. This week's show is sponsored by the Diamond Egg Club. Do you seek help manifesting a personal dream, a business idea, or an opportunity of a lifetime? If so, I highly recommend my 6-month private coaching program, the Diamond Egg Club. Sign up today and you'll receive 6 months of private training, astrological coaching, peer review, and inside knowledge to proven lightworker business models. Find out more or sign up today at senseiChristopher.com. That's right, 2 great things. For one, if you are a lightworker and you want to network with lightworkers, come to Unite the Light at unitethelight.love. And then, of course, my Diamond Egg Club, which is a private ability to coach directly with me. You get a 1-hour session every month with me. Plus, there's a peer group that comes together. We all sign mutual non-disclosure, so it's all secrets kept to us. And we help each other. And quite often, the universe does amazing things. Like one of our diamonds will need a resource, and another will just happen to know someone perfect for the job. So it's a magical time. If you're feeling the calling, this is the time. The world's about to get tense, and we need diamonds on the scene. If you need help manifesting, come to senseiChristopher.com and get her done in 6 months. All right, folks. Oh, my God, I'm excited. This is a friend of the show coming tonight. For the 3rd time, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as far as keeping count. Dylan, his name is a multidimensional mentor, human design maven, and cosmic strategist, guiding spiritual awakening souls through deep, energetic realignments and embodiments. With over 14 years now of experience decoding energy fields, patterns, and planetary rhythms, he helps high-vibe beings remember their blueprint, reclaim their voice, and step into their sacred role on Earth. Known for blending soul science with grounded presence, his containers are both mystical and precise, designed to activate truth, clear distortion, and catalyze lasting transformation. Whether you're moving through a personal initiation, reconnecting with your purpose, or integrating your multidimensional self, Dylan offers a space where nothing is off limits and everything is encoded with meaning. So please, welcome back our friend of the show, with love and gratitude, Step 3 Pisces, Human Design Maven. Woo! Because it was. Thank you. Thank you
Hey,
for the help.
hi,
Brother,
Sensei.
it's good to see you, man.
It's great to be back. Good to see you too.
It seems like time is flying, and that's like both literal and physical. you know, like, uh, and and also perception. Have you noticed that since the beginning of the year, like time has shifted?
Oh, yeah. And especially since Neptune and Aries, I feel like
Mhm.
I'm just barely holding on to how much is transpiring in every moment.
Yeah, it feels. I'm losing track of time. I mean, I always have, frankly. My staff, our staff, our team will tell you that. But lately, I've really like just had no sense of it in the sense of what I think is 5 minutes is 30, and
Yeah.
and vice versa. So does human design a lot for that? I mean, does it a lot for transits and whatnot, like astrology does?
Oh, yeah. I'm big on transits with human design and really tying the fact that in a body graph, we can see where the transit's taking place in our body. Some
Mm,
transits are mental, some transits are emotional. I mean, everything is everything, right? But we can really see where the focus is in terms of themes and how it's going to affect our energy. So, like our last eclipse in Aries was in the Ajna, it was the gate of the right eye. So, it was all
mm.
about vision, the vision that would construct the structure of the new ego.
Huh. That's fascinating. So, what is your personal like thoughts or theories about how the vision would connect to, the head in astrology? Because it was 9 degrees Aries, so traditional Western astrology, which isn't very precise, calls it the head. I mean, it seems like human design hits it bullseye, right, or focuses it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a gate for each eye, there's a gate for each ear,
Oh,
there's a gate for the pineal gland.
mm,
We have specific gates for like the kidneys and things like that. So it's definitely a component of the head, this gate 17 eclipse we just had.
mm,
Um,
mm,
but it's really about also pattern recognition and how our vision for the future is set in logical sequences, and
mm,
how this was about leaving behind old sequences and
mm-hmm.
like evolving the entire pattern of our life or our ego structure. Or it's very deep because it's like if every human being has one right eye, think of how much scope that has over how we perceive. It's like a whole new era for how we perceive.
Oh, that's fascinating because I've seen something similar. And before we go down that rabbit hole of the WeGo, what I call the WeGo, it's just for everyone who's new to human design. Because honestly, I meet people who haven't heard of it at all, but they're intrigued. Like something in them knows it's important when they hear about it.
Mhm.
Or I have people coming in throwing stuff at me that I pretend to know. So, like, what is it precisely for those who don't know? And it's relatively new form, is it not? A new approach.
Human design is a synthesis. So it brings
Mm,
together a lot of existing systems, ancient systems like astrology, the Chinese I Ching,
mm,
the Kabbalah tree of life from Judaism, and the chakra system. And
mm,
so it takes all these elements and it remixes them into this new quantum tool that's basically your map, your blueprint for your soul.
mm,
And it has very 3D physical implications. It can really show us the inner workings of our body, our brain cognition, how to best nourish our body, what environment our physical body wants to be in. But it also has that mental psyche aspect where we can really trace our negative conditioning patterns, the things that
mm,
get in our way, that translate into behaviors that hold us back. And it also, and I'm seeing more recently, it can show us even what our soul looks like and what those core soul intentions are so that
mm.
we can get really clear and not have to waste time. So, all in all, I think human design is really here to collapse timelines that would have taken a lot longer and give us really clear, grounded navigation tools so that we can make decisions to shift towards our highest timeline every day.
And its founder was, this was in the 70s and 80s, if I'm not mistaken, the one
Yeah.
who had this vision. Hmm.
He had a mystical experience on the island of Ibiza, and he was somebody who is he used a lot of psychedelics, so we can't leave that out.
Sure.
But the actual experience leading up to where he received this download was not a psychedelic experience. It was actually initiated by a fasting process.
Oh, huh.
So after about 40 days and 40 nights of a fast, he was approached by this voice, this presence, which he initially called the mother, but then he later renamed it the voice. And this being basically revealed to him the mechanics and the structure of all life forms and like what goes into the design, not just of humans, but birds, fish, reptile, mammals, what we look like in terms of our dream state. We have a different design in our dream state.
Hmm. That's
And also plants and everything in between. Even single-celled organisms have a specific design. They only have 2 centers. We have 9 centers.
That's fascinating. So, so you say design. I mean, that really pretty much says it right there that it was not random amoeba, evolving accidentally in a saltwater bath of the ocean for a million years. It's actually been designed. And he's talking about, does he go into where the design happened or how?
Not so much.
Mm,
The bigger idea is that the cosmos themselves have an order to them. They have
mm-hmm.
structure, they have repeating patterns. And consciousness is just this emergent property of these repeating structures and patterns, divine mathematics, if you will. And human design is where we can take all of those patterns and see them visually in front of our eyes and take all of that guesswork out of the mind and all of its crazy making and
Mm-hmm.
see like, oh, okay, here's me. Here's where I start. Here's where I end. This is who I am in this life. And it just helps refine the scope of what we're here to do and how we get along to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I love. I have to admit that a lot of it I haven't found about that in my chart, in myself, in my chart, nor have my guides told me those things. Like it definitely opens up a window of information that I hadn't had, but I all resonate with, and explained a lot of parts like energy and my aura and things that I never, learned about any other place. And I kind of think this hybriding is the future. I mean, I almost sometimes think that like, the Tower of Babel might have been all of the different, astrology, numerology, and all these different, factors of consciousness, and it being built again, understanding God is putting these, these different modalities together again. Because when you cross them over, they always fit,
Yeah, I
crazy.
think ascension is by nature a process of reunification
Mm,
towards a unity state, a unity consciousness. And I think we all came from one source and then, came in through many different states and versions. And ultimately, we get to kind of go back to that core.
mm. Yeah, it's just a big tailed Humpty Dumpty. They had a great fall, and one day we're putting it back together. Yeah, my theory is that one day you just wake up and you are God. You're like, oh, that was a trip. Like, a million years or whatever, kind of crazy. So, what are your thoughts about, what's happening now in our consciousness? I mean, we've talked about it each time you come on. It is ascension, obviously. I mean, that's our common theme, and so we had the COVID period from 2020, onto this period, and for astrology, it was kind of the wrap up of Saturn and Pluto, the wrap up of Pluto in Capricorn. I mean, Saturn in Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn, which is all this, revelation of power and looking at power in a different way. Now we're moving into Pluto and Aquarius. What have you observed, especially in context of human design and your clients, since this Pluto Aqua, has made its foothold here in 2025?
Well, I mean, not to keep going straight for the topic, but it feels
Yeah.
like Pluto and Aqua what has been about the revelation of the 5D human design chart,
Okay.
which we'll get to. But in terms of the bigger picture of what's been happening since 2020,
Mm,
this was the beginning of what we call a stellar activation cycle. And so there are certain time periods that our planet passes through in which its stargates reopen, re-energize.
mm,
And these stargates are portals to the different dimensional aspects of our planet. There's a 3D Earth, there is a 5D version of Earth called Tara, there's an eighth dimensional version of Earth called Gaia, and
mm,
so on and so forth, all the way up to the 12th dimension and beyond. And so during the stellar activation cycle, the portals open and consciousness field intensifies. And that's where all of this remembering and awakening we've been doing has come from, all this disclosure, all these breakdowns to have breakthroughs. It's because we've been flushed with consciousness.
mm,
And at the same time, all the opportunistic forces of the planet have been aware of this and
mm.
been taking advantage of this to try and grab control of these portals of consciousness, because whoever controls
Okay.
the stargates controls basically the navigation of spaceship Earth. So
Hmm.
as for us, and that's in terms of like the timeline and where we're going in our destiny. And so, like you were saying recently in a pep talk, how around the Atlantean period, the timeline was hijacked, and that's very true. And so, where we are now is that moment in which we do get to reclaim the timeline and not have to relive this just opportunistic energy taking control of things in order to just be in control. Because there was a fragment of the original God source that fell from its original consciousness and chose to be tried to become God itself, tried to be the big honcho in charge, and went against universal law and went against cosmic will to try and take power because who knows why? It was part of the experiment, maybe. And so that's had its ramifications and it affects us deeply, genetically, psychically, and it just kind of has echoed through time and space. But every once in a while, we get these junctures where there's a moment to kind of reset. And so this great reset that's been proposed on these lower levels of consciousness has actually been a copycat of a higher reset that wants to happen. And that's us remembering that we are the stewards of this planet. We are the stewards of the stargates and the portals, and we are multidimensional and galactic consciousness. Like most people that consider themselves humans are not just human. And we're remembering that those masks are falling off and we're remembering who we truly are. So
Mm.
that's where programs like this come into play because it becomes a focal point, it becomes a gathering place, and that's where Unite the Light comes into play, where we can actually, come together in aura. And when
Mhm.
we have that amplification of all of this remembering and all of this clearing and work that we've done, miracles are possible. And I really think that that's what Unite the Light is destined to be, is this catalyst for miracles, not just in that moment that we gather, but as we go back into our lives after the event, we carry this amplified, unlocked energy, and new things do become possible.
He's not kidding. By the way, I mean, thank you for that. Thank you for bringing up Unite the Light because I thought it was a phenomenon too. Going back to what you're saying with the portals, that's fascinating. The myth, or not the myth, the explanation we've had in astrology has been that the entire solar system sort of wobbles in and out in front of the galactic center, and there's like a photon belt that we come into, and that sort of is what wakens us up, so to speak. So you're saying portals open. That's fascinating. So that's really interesting to know because you do kind of feel aware of more, just aware of more. And I felt that this year so far. I just feel, I don't know, more calm actually because I feel aware of more. I too have believe in Atlantis. I was there. I have some memories. The memories have opened up more since Pluto and Aquarius. I had predicted that because I thought that something was going to vibrate higher. And yeah, we've basically been slaves for the last 26,000 years, told that we're just descendants of monkeys and have no powers, and so we seem to be waking up to that right now. But going to Unite the Light, holy shift, man. Like, without a doubt, a total high I'd never felt before in my life. And it wasn't excitement. I don't know how to describe it. It was just so much energy and joy. And everyone had like a joy hangover for like 2 or 3 weeks. And it seemed like everyone came down around the same date, which was like somewhere like the second week in June or something. But in that feeling, everyone left feeling inspired. I think by the energy as much as the message, that time is here. I think maybe also a little bit of an Atlantean reunion going on there, a little bit of a moo reunion, like some people hadn't seen each other in 26,000 years. So does human design specifically account for this other timeline that we talk about?
Not necessarily in the traditional way that it's taught,
Mm.
but I do think, like any system, it doesn't truly belong to anyone, and it's here
Mm-hmm.
to be expanded and developed as consciousness will have its way with it. And so, one thing that's interesting that I've seen in my psychic vision is that when we did the last Unite the Light, we activated a timeline that just now kind of came to fruition a couple weeks ago. And there
Really?
were
Okay.
specific signs and dreams that I had at the last Unite the Light that were question marks for me. And then I saw the confirmation of them very recently.
Mm.
Um, and it just in this moment, I'm realizing like, oh, okay, so it's almost like we activated 5D, in
Mm-hmm.
that space.
I agree.
High energy detoxed us incredibly.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that detox process was not necessarily easy. but
No.
it was needed to clear the space for the real, I don't even want to say work, the real fun to begin.
Mm.
So,
Mhm.
um,
I
and
agree.
that starts now. So here,
Yes, we did on a cosmic event. So the sun was conjoining Jupiter, which my guides had said from the very beginning, like, you got to do it on this day. I was like, okay, that'll be cool. It's gonna be happy. That's like the happy planet, Jupiter. And so I was like, I was down for it. It's good luck. That way, we're worried about it, failing financially, and worried about that. It was a huge stretch. But then after it came back, I'm like, oh, shift. That was like some sort of a ritual spell thing. I realized you had that many light workers in one spot, right in the spot where the eclipses were flying through. Those eclipses, solar eclipses, happened right through Austin. So it was like a cosmic spot because we got called to Austin at a cosmic moment. The sun conjunct Jupiter. A bunch of light workers who believe in this shift. You know what I mean? And what I saw was, in my language, was like a crystal city being born, which I think is what you're saying is 5D. Like, to me, it was a future city of some sort of future high vibration city, like city people of the city, people of the community. And so that's what I felt like, that something had opened. And, I feel like we're attending to the second chapter now in Nashville this year, like something about Nashville. And I haven't looked at the astrology yet around Nashville, actually. I just listened to my guides who said, do it here. So I think we're kind of being used as astrological, pawns. Not really, but really what I'm looking for is like when you have, acupuncture. I think sometimes humans are like acupuncture to the earth. Like, you get a
absolutely.
bunch of high vibration, people in one spot, and Mother Earth's just like, oh, thank God. And it sort of just opens things up. So that's what it feels like too. We're like sort of acupuncture needles, so to speak, these light workers. And I feel the ones who are called to go are the instruments, and the ones who are not called to go are not the instruments, that are necessary for that particular whatever, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes we go to places to have ourselves activated. Sometimes we go to places to activate them and drop our codes that we've collected in our own journeys to that specific
Mm.
space. And yes, there's this secret project, maybe not so secret now, but it's called the Bridge Zone Project. And there will be specific areas of the planet that are kind of a frequency bridge zone that
Mm.
won't fall to as much of, the perhaps chaos of the coming times. And that's because they'll be literally like domed off frequency wise.
Mm.
And we'll probably planting seeds to that kind of frequency and that kind of consciousness. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, when I used to hear things like this, I have people who, I have clients who be like, "Oh, I go around the world doing grid work, and Mother Earth sends me here, and Mother Earth sends me there." And I was like, "Okay," like at the beginning. Now I'm like, "Oh, really?" I tune into it because I know that, learning the astrology and the ley lines, and where you have your own astrological astrocartography, and witnessing astrocartography for myself, where I go into one zone and I'm one, animal, I go into another zone, I'm another. At certain astrological times, there's absolutely an interaction between Gaia, Mother Earth, human beings being some sort of instruments or blood cells or thoughts or something of her. I mean, one has said that, we're the thoughts of Mother Earth. Each person is one of her thoughts, and I thought this is compelling. Or a blood cell, but, we are the critters that are helping stir the energy, just like there's bacteria in our bodies stirring the energy.
I think we're the brain cells. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, God help her. Just kidding. God help her. Well, that said, you were talking, and we gabbed on the phone for a moment, and we both came to discovery, or you came to discovery. I came to the realization that your discovery of, in astrology, this had come to me, and you have a similar, you share your story too, where I was, we do our astrology. Our whole team does our breakdowns on Mondays, and which is a lot of fun, by the way, because I used to do this all by myself, alone, and now I have this great team that is all wise to the step system and brilliant in their own ways. So we think tank this stuff, and then somehow if we were think tanking this particular spring with Aries, and I knew there was a new ego being born. Because of the eclipses, you could see it being set up. The eclipse at 19 degrees the prior year was clearly like setting the stage for the environment of the eclipse. Is 19 degrees net 10, which is a manifestation of space for the ego. So like, okay, we're creating the space, and then this year, at 9 degrees, I'm like, there's the ego right there. We're giving birth to a new ego. Makes a lot of sense. But then once I went to my psychic side, which is now very sharp compared to when I started, it was revealed to me. It's like, no, this is a whole new design. And basically it's a very simple design. It's based on 2 instead of 1, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So now, the idea is I used to call it the Migo, and I was like, this is the Wego. This is the ego for 2, to think of more than 1, which is the basis of unity consciousness. And I thought, wow, this is cool, because I've always heard about human beings evolving, but not really ever seen it in the third eye having like a little demonstration. So you're saying you saw something similar, huh?
Yeah. The 5D human design chart is here. And it's crazy because I didn't know what I was looking at when I first saw it. It's been a process of unpacking it since January. The
Mm.
first time I laid eyes on it was during a conjunction of Moon, Mercury, and Pluto in 1 degrees Aquarius.
Mm.
And that prompted me to look up my draconic chart, but run that as a human design chart. And what I saw was my life story in terms of like my mystical experiences and my initiations and more of the spiritual side of my experience was clearly in that design in
Mm.
ways that I was like, oh, like now, now it makes sense. And I had been using my, 3D chart for quite some time, and I realized that it's the 3D chart is great for, picking apart all of the not self behaviors and codependencies and patterns and thought forms. It's great for that process of deconstruction. But the
Mm.
5D chart is that kind of emotional tone that you hold to be on your higher timeline. So rather than using
Mm.
something to kind of, psychoanalyze ourselves, it's actually the chart that we reference to hold the frequency and just be brought there instead of having to deconstruct everything. It's like the
Mhm.
difference between spelling one letter at a time and then having full words and sentences and writing the whole story. And so in that sense, it's a lot more efficient in terms of decision making, manifesting the path forward, and what we're really looking to experience here, which is not a lot of shadow work, but more a direct link to our true nature.
Agreed. And it's interesting. I noticed the same in the decans in astrology, and I also noticed the same in astrology. I mean, everything has been up until now for me. All my work has been deconstructive. Like, how's it tick? What are you missing? Where's the holes? Where's the pain? Where's the problem? And sort of diagnosing where the hangups are in our energy and where we're stuck. And where's the past lives and clearing that. It's just all clear, clear, clear. Basically, one giant cleaning of the bathroom. Like for this entire lifetime. And really, it's really the first decade of astrology, like putting yourself together as whole, and then operating as whole in the, in the second decade, and how you operate in that wholeness with that wholeness in the moment, and how you keep the moment from taking away from your wholeness or your integrity. But then you go in the third decan, which is the master decan, which a lot of people give me grief on. Like, how can you call someone a master and someone a beginner? Because it's much more complex. But it's exactly what you're saying, that you have to, they all start with step 2, which is the moon. And so everything at the master level, which is where you affect the world, you affect yourself and the world. So as you and the world and bouncing off the world, it all starts with the 2, which is emotion, which is basically your emotional tone and adding an ingredient. And so where I see it going now is all about magic. Like, how do you take your core energy, make sure it's neutral and to who you are, and then from that point, change your own core energy to vibrate to a certain frequency of which you want to either manifest or visit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm.
It's like changing the channel basically, and holding that channel, holding that frequency, and that's what we channel is that timeline that we're requesting by holding that tone gets 3D printed through us or whatever 5D printed now.
Mm.
And it's a much more efficient way, I think, of going about things because that lower vibrational stuff just sloughs off if we're attuned to a higher frequency than if we're trying to eat it all away bit by bit and understand every piece when honestly a lot of that stuff doesn't truly belong to us from this lifetime. A lot of that stuff is just so inherited lineage, epigenetics, past lives, and while those journeys are fascinating, they can suck up a lot of your time in this lifetime and prevent you from really enjoying what we have here, which should be an act, I think, of creation, a continuous act of creation, manifestation, not
Yeah.
so much dipping back into the drain.
Totally. Actually, what I'm now coining spontaneous incarnation, because I believe this is my new thing. I'm announcing it here for the first time. Like, but it's like now it's not even my manifestation. You're creating something that's self fulfilling. You're creating something that's alive. You're feeling something with self awareness. Like, to me, and that's the spontaneous incarnation. Like, suddenly you incarnated something, out of probably the cosmos of possibilities into the moment. And now it is self aware. It's going to go running around just like the Apple Corporation seems to be self aware and that sort of thing. So. To me, it's a whole nother. It's like the next level of creation. I feel like we're going, whatever you want to call it, and basically magic. My understanding of Atlantis was that they came in First of all, they, I'm not sure how the very beginning story, but the story goes that, we've been messed with genetically. We were created by, an alien race that the angels were manipulating. I don't know what you've heard. So the angels are manipulating this race to create it, sort of puppeting, and then they create it, and then there's several gene codes. There's several varieties of, the human race running around the planet in different pockets of the Earth, each separated by different oceans and things, so they wouldn't intermix. And then at some point, one hijacks them as slaves, the Anunnaki, and then another point, like some comes and frees them and redoes their DNA, and boom, you have the Atlantean. That's have you heard any pre-stories of Atlantis? I'm just curious.
Whoa.
Doesn't matter. Sorry about that.
Everything. Okay. So the that's a huge topic, but Atlantis was basically a redo of Lemuria.
Okay.
Lemuria was when the first hijack was took place. The original Lemurians were a super race that were composed of almost all the different genetic possibilities in our time matrix beyond the universe matrix.
Mm.
And then they were forced to breed with the Anunnaki to create hybrids that would then be the like ancestors basically of a lot of the human lines. But originally there were 12 tribes of angelic humans that were the predecessors. And so in no cases are we descendants of primates. And we
Right.
have been kind of, since Babylon, essentially as far back as most people say human history goes, that all that Babylonian history and forward has been Anunnaki influenced.
Okay.
And that's been all of the enslavement programming and the
Yep.
enslavement of our, sexual creative energy and our faith and our higher aspects. So
Okay. So the fact that I've heard was started in Atlantis is still Atlantean folklore, Anunnaki Bible, the Anunnaki Bible, basically, right?
great.
Excuse me. That's fascinating. Point being, it's like so. At that time, apparently, we were high vibration. Like, compared to now, we were high vibration. From my understanding, like we didn't really understand being nothing and becoming something. It seems like the human race didn't climb up from nothing. It sort of was instantly created by some Anunnaki scientists or something. And my point is, like, we haven't ascended before. Like, that's what I'm leading to with this whole long story. Sorry, I'm opening up an ancient bottle, but we haven't ascended. Like, we have not been at the bottom and climbed ourselves back up. This is us getting back up to where we once were. So I wonder if this is why we have sort of deep feeling of heaven. Not to mention between lifetimes, which is this idea when life was heaven and did go easy. And we also have this fear of nuclear war and destruction. To me, perhaps all our whole ancient history, deep inside of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All of those major traumas, a lot of which were like, when the mag strip on a credit card gets wiped and it doesn't register anymore, a lot of that happened to our DNA several times over the
Mm,
course of history. So we have kind of these amnesia spaces that are
mm,
probably just replaced with memories of cataclysm, because
mm,
those were the artificial resets that were brought in
mm,
to for various reasons, sometimes by invader races, and sometimes to reset the angelic human experiment and do a new spawning of a new tribe, basically. And
mm,
that's been a back and forth for many generations. As much as we have the intruder races, we have the guardians, and
mm,
that's us. And many of us are hybrids of both. And
mm,
it's not that we work for one or the other necessarily. It all depends on your soul contract. And that's why we're here, Sensei, to create clarity around who is who and what they're here for and how to go about it.
mm.
So,
And what I've sensed is some of the characters. I mean, I was on the last. I always joke. I wrote Atlantis down, you know, right before. I mean, it got off at the last moment. I mean, I have an image of a mountain going down or something over the sea. Like that was the last thing I saw. But so I think it was in that final moment, and I feel like there's a lot of characters now who are from there too. Like I've come across. I mean, people give me like crazy goosebumps, bad feelings. Like Bill Gates and others. But seriously, I'm not making this shift up. But it feels like we're at this like this next timeline. So I'm getting to. I think it's like where we left off. It feels like where we left off. Yeah.
It's that, and I think there are also some interesting X factors in the mix this time.
Mm,
Because in 2027, we do have a new update of the human hardware,
mm,
and these are the rave children that are coming, and they have a WeGo from birth. You know, they don't
mm,
have to learn it. They actually um, can only function in their WeGo. There is no
mm,
individual WeGo.
mm. Yeah.
I really want to share with everyone that in my 5D chart, I'm a step 17 Aries.
Oh,
So
really? I wonder what I am. That's interesting. Now you've begged the question.
I
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah. That's
but
interesting. What does that mean? So that means that when you operate at 5D, because you're Pisces now. So I can't remember. 5 Pisces, right? Step 5?
three Pisces,
Oh,
yeah.
3. Okay, yeah. Philosophical Pisces, definitely. And so then you become step 17 Aries. So you become a know-it-all arrogant? No, I was kidding. I find it hard to believe. No, that's the 3D definition. I wonder if all these signs now become newly integrated new versions, because I'm seeing that happening already.
Well, my 5D self doesn't have as bad boundary issues as my 3D self. So
Mm,
that 17 Aries really helps me stay on task to the
mhm,
point, but still maintain that spiritual connection element
mhm,
of basically always surrendering to the next initiation. It's not so much about what I want. It's about what spirit wants to show me next.
mhm.
It just kind of bamboozles me from time to time to give me my system update, and that's what I have been experiencing.
I've been having system updates, but no one believes me. But definitely system updates. And my voice will change every time that happens. One thing that's interesting. And you have your Vedic, what am I saying? Your Vedic chart, and you have your Western astrology chart, right? So I've always thought the Vedic was sort of our natal chart for before 3D, whatever was before 3D, like our lower vibration to 3D. Not that Vedic is worse. It's just I think we're the progression. That's why they're the progression actually, and we're the ancient. Actually, I got it backwards. We're the ancient, and they're the progression because they're progressed. How the Earth has progressed since then. But the point is, I see these progressions of charts, these interpretations of charts, and I'm seeing now, like really seeing, and so is our team, where we're seeing like crazy things happen. Like Aries are acting like Libras, and Libras are acting like Aries. And we're seeing, and what's interesting is because that's one spectrum. And then the square to that, we're seeing Aquarius is acting like Leos, and Leos acting like Aquariuses. I've seen Leos backing up and getting out of the spotlight. I've seen Aquarius is stepping into the spotlight. I've seen Libra's getting tough and learning karate, and Aries is doing the dishes. It's crazy. So but I'm seeing an evolution, and maybe it'll stick, or maybe it won't. But I imagine they've all sort of shifted over time.
Yeah, I think all of the definitions will change,
Mm.
and that's good.
Yeah, keeps us in business. keeps, yeah, yeah.
I all I know is I'm celebrating my 5D birthday on Monday, and it's the most exciting thing since having
4D.
a regular birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Since you just had that birthday and found the chart, man, you ought to just get into the Hallmark business and have 5D cards. Make it like a whole kind of thing, like gender parties. I mean, like create
Totally.
like
I
5D.
mean,
Yeah.
we have something I experimented with recently is like a frequency encoded 5D container where we treat you as your 5D self within that container, and you act as that, and you anchor that frequency, and you really come out the other side with that really impressed upon your being, so that again, it's really, you're not as stuck in all these old issues. You're just going straight to the point, but that point is sourced through the unity consciousness. So
Mm,
what you yourself are acting on and creating is in concert with everyone else on that ascension wave.
mm, mm.
So this is what I'm really excited about doing, is creating these containers where people can step in and live as their 5D self in a dedicated space and practice that vibration and be supported in that. And then boom, you step out and it sticks.
You're a gray alien. I was kidding. Basically, I'm just kidding.
No, not the grays, but
Yeah. So if y'all like, for instance, human design has a, what's it called? It's not a birth chart. It's a pre-birth chart. A creation date chart, right? 88 days prior, you have a chart.
Yeah, it's called the design date. So
Design, excuse me.
88 degrees of the sun before birth, or one revolution of Mercury before birth, is where the imprint of the actual body's consciousness gets
Mhm. Yeah.
encoded. And so we,
One Mercury retro revolution. That's crazy to me, which is fascinating. 88 days, which makes me Robbie Hunt, by the way. I was created as Robbie Hunt, and I became Christopher Witecki. Just so you know, I'm
that's
a
great.
22 Aquarius. Yeah, I'm a Grandmaster Aquarius in my design date. So it's interesting.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the same as my grandmother. So my grandmother was my design date. So I know my grandmother was holding space for my design date. She's the one that made me feel special.
They
Like,
say they say we're more genetically similar to our grandparents than our parents.
I'm certainly more similar in personality, you know, like in wishes and dreams, which is amazing. So, so what's the 5D chart tell you? I hear what you're saying. So ultimately, and this is what astrology says too. This is what I've really understood in the last couple of years is that, and I've learned it from aliens and the Palladians and all sorts of things. Like they talk about, you know, even Bashar talks about how ships fly through space. The ship becomes the vibration of Earth, and boom, it's at the Earth. Like there's something in the cosmos of God. If you vibrate it, you're there, right? So you just have to figure out how to boogie like that, how to vibrate like it. So it's really all signatures of vibration, vibrational frequencies, but to, you know, probably to the million, you know, to the uncountable degree of complexity, right? Because you have vibration within vibration within vibration within vibration. It's like an orchestra of vibration, really.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at just the United States of awareness and our body, you know, every state of awareness has got its own vibe, and then it's like to a certain step number, and then it's to a certain net number. So you know, you've got like this, like music, just these, you know, wavelength upon wavelength, right? And so you're saying 5D would be what? It's using the 3D waves, or is there more waves?
Right. So I want you to think of it in terms of like concentric circles. And so at the core, we have 1D, then we have 2D, then we have
Mm,
3D, then we have 4D and 5D, 6D, all the way to 12D. And 12 dimensions are as many as you can fit that are still in dimensionalized, materialized form.
mm,
Beyond that, it's just primal light and primal sound, it's formlessness.
mm,
But when we get out of once we passed the 3D threshold, we're no longer in the realm of like the mind. We're at the level of the soul. Like what we call the soul is 5D and 6D, actually. What
mm,
we then get to from beyond there, 7, 8, 9, is the oversoul. And that's when
mm,
we're no longer individual consciousness as much. We're just kind of the soul, we're the monad, we're the soul family, all moving as one. And that's really the core of like what we understand as like our spiritual lineage, our soul family, like where we come from, our source. And beyond that, it's you've got to get there to see what's beyond that. But
mm,
um, that's how I see it. And so like there are humans running around on this planet that are at second dimensional consciousness. There are many humans. What I think is that if you're living your 3D chart in human design to a T, you're actually living at the frequency of 4D. So you've mastered the 3D and it activates 4D. But that 4D is still very messed with. You know, it's very convoluted. It's
mm,
it can be very hijacked. There's still a lot of illusion and delusion in the 4D. And then beyond that, we have 5D, which is clean. So that's the reason that 5D is so important. It's like our most accessible dimensional level that can pull us towards that unity vibration while we still have individual bodies and egos like we do as human beings. That's why it's such a sweet spot.
mm.
And when we dream, we're in the 2D, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. That makes sense because it's not really fully reality. I mean, and so what it seems like you're saying is like as we go from high vibration to low vibration, we go from unity to individuality. So to be individual, we got to slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. And so that slowing down becomes the perception of individual. But
Mhm.
really, it's the forgetting of the unity and just the focus of attention on the individual, really.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you're saying dreams are 2D, so it's even slower.
Mhm.
That makes sense. And then 1D is what? Matter.
Matter, elemental,
Hmm.
consciousness,
Hmm.
core of the earth, instinctual mind.
Hmm. Instinctual mind, that's fascinating too.
Mhm.
Parts of our consciousness are actually operating at that level. and influencing us. So instinct, like, survival. So then that argues like 1D might be part of the old ego, huh? Like the slower.
Yeah, and I think they all have a place, of course. It's not like we're necessarily trying to cut off or get away from 1D, because there are elements to the 1D that keep us healthy. Like if we didn't have that 1D core, we would be hollow, and that may not be great for us, right? So like in terms of like the consciousness of our blood cells or our immune system, that might be a more one-dimensional consciousness, but it's very vital. Those killer cells, killing off pathogens, we need them to just be really focused on that one job. and
Mm-hmm.
and that allows this complex multidimensional experience to take place. So yeah.
That was good. Yeah, we have some heavy stuff here. So we've talked a lot about what we want to talk about, and I'm curious to some degree of how the Chiron is a bridge. You mentioned Chiron return is a bridge of higher self. So this is like a guaranteed elevator escalator to 5D. How do you see Chiron? Because I've been studying Chiron for quite a while. I mean, especially since my Chiron return, where I got rebooted in Austin, where my Chiron line is, where I later had the Leonite light. Like, it's kind of
Yeah.
mystical. And this happens at 50. So Chiron returns to the place it was at age 50, 49 and a half, 50. And from what I can tell from the astrological self, that's the part when you become, step 11, that's when you become who you're meant to be. So from what I can tell in astrology, the first 50 years of your life, you have become your wound, and then you become the healed wound, the wound healed. And that's all I can tell you. Where do you take over?
Okay, so I think of it in terms of, okay, look at our galaxy top down, or our solar system. We have different planets that represent different states of consciousness. So Chiron is this bridge to the outer planets, which, if we're still looking at that concentric circle model, the outer planets would be a corresponding planetary consciousness of our soul, our higher self. So Chiron is the liaison, the mediator, the bridge builder between our earthly consciousness, with no negative connotation that it's lesser or whatever, but it's just our earthly consciousness versus our higher self consciousness. So Chiron is tasked with this difficult job of reconciling the earthly matters and the earthly 3D experience and all the karma that's hanging around here because it's physical, and then connecting that and creating neural pathways or experiences or soul initiations that will make us a vessel that can hold the higher self vibration, that can hold the higher self way of thinking, way of feeling, way of responding to the other. So that's why it's such a difficult passage, because it's a high level of initiation for this physical self, and yet it is the bridge. And so our Chiron return is really important for becoming the spiritual leader and role models that we're meant to be. It's like our transition into like the elder phase. And the elders are the ones that hold the memory of the traditions and the culture and how things are done and what makes life good. And so if we have, higher self-informed elders, we have a continuity of culture that births more and more better things, basically good times, healing, greater inventions. Just we get to increase our complexity in the good way, and keep evolving and keep ascending with each generation, while maintaining our roots and our core to what is really important. And so with this last threshold that we're in right now, leading up to 2027, we are in a collective Chiron return. Because
Whoa! Wow, that was brilliant. Wow. What?
and
How do you calculate that? Is that spiritual or is that calculation?
it's not a calculation, it's just thematically how I'm sensing this is all adding
Wow.
together, especially as we have these new children that are coming around the corner after 2027. It's like we are being so collectively pressurized to get through all of our crap so that we can be clean higher self role models for the new ones that are coming, or at least be a responsive birthing team to let them come in and not have to condition them with the same toxicity that we've dealt with for generations, for the past 26,000 years, because they don't have any connection or need to deal with that story. They're here to tell a whole new story and hold a whole new vibration, and they're going to be able to do things that are far beyond our capacities. So our job is not to interfere. Our job is not to keep, splashing the old muck onto the new. And that's why that's why this time is so intense. Um,
Mm.
and we feel it and we know it, and it is the life that we live.
Well, that's fascinating. So if the solar system is like a record plate, like a record on a player, where it's all these things are going on the center record, Chiron goes like this. It goes up and over, as if it's spinning a web around the solar system, which made me feel like Chiron is some sort of a skin between the solar system and what's outside the solar system. And so I've always seen Chiron as like Virgo, and Virgo being the skin, but the body between Spirit, Pisces up in the 12th house, and the embodiment of the soul in the 6th house. So I see, what is the soul above and below? So you get the skin on Earth, and you get the skin to the galaxy. I mean, you see it, yeah.
I think it's the fascia. It's like the inner skin.
Ah, that's brilliant too. Actually, were you the one that told me? You must be. And I was like, oh my god, I got to tell Gary Lyman that Chiron rules the fascia, because it just webs everything together. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then we just figured it out then.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought you had. Well, his fascia is like how the whole body's working, like put together at the very, and it's the real nervous system and all sorts of things. It's crystalline, so it's like running high vibration stuff and lower.
It's crystalline, and it holds a lot of those soul and beyond memory. So it's like what's weird about the interference that we've experienced is that, unfortunately, every human being comes in with a fascia that is completely disorganized. We all get born with our fascia all like crumpled up, and it's a reflection of kind of the karmic load that we bring in. And it's our job to kind of iron it out over the course of our life, maybe up through the Chiron return. And as we iron it out and we create that space and we create that symmetry, we can remember the codes and the memories that are kind of bundled up in there. So
yeah, and bundled indeed. Well, Chiron in your chart is, your, from my interpretation, this is my third eye, and with my clients, it's ultimately a mistake you've been making for several lifetimes. It goes way back in time. So first Atlantis died, and then you went into Christian church and tried to show them how you're magical, and then they killed you, and then you became a pagan, you fought against them, and then they killed you there, and then you became a Christian, killed the pagans. It's just like this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This wound that just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And for some reason, when Chiron shows up, it's like, okay, you can heal this freaking long wound if you want to, because you have become an asshole, or you become this as a result at certain times in your life when it's triggered. And then when I went through my Chiron return, which is incredibly intense, I was off the air for 11 months. Everyone knows that was my Chiron return. But someone was also conjuncting my Uranus, so that was a hell of a double feature. But I have to say, I came out of it fearless, absolutely fearless, not afraid of anything anymore ever. And not afraid to say that. I used to be so afraid. I was afraid to tell people I was afraid. So, and really, I look back at the things that it healed. I'm like, oh my God, everything I've worried about in my life, everything I've try to steer away from all this. It was all Chiron the whole time. It was all Chiron. And which was just my soul worried, basically like a Virgo worried that it wasn't right. And guess what? It was always right. I was just worried. For at least me, so it's interesting. And the themes, and it's crazy. Yeah, it's really fascinating. So y'all, it's quite an experience. Don't be afraid of it when you hit 49, 50, but do get some time off that year. Because some shift happens, man, and you can't help but recreate the themes of your Chiron return, I find. And the step system then just adds like a dimension of understanding, to me anyways. It gives clarity. You see the Chiron step number all over the chart. You see it all over the chart. And you see that it affects, because you have those numbers all over your chart, you have that it's infected your entire soul's being and the ability to manifest at will and become what you want to become. And so part of you is always like fighting not to become that. Because of this memory of what you once had become, so I'm going down a wormhole here, but it's fascinating. So you've just said we're in our collective Chiron return. That's crazy. I'm going to be quoting you all the time, bro, on that one. It's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. So speaking of brilliance, you are our first announced feature presenter of Unite the Light. Woo! If we get some applause here, which we're very excited. Actually, you're the first person we approached.
I'm honored. And so excited.
We're excited to have you. And I remember seeing you last year or two, and you just popped up in my consciousness, and then there you were at the I thought it was really crazy. And it felt so right. And don't give it away, but in essence, I mean, give us a little teaser of what you're presenting, because at Unite the Light we want to try to have like a surprise show, and have people walk away stunned, to some degree of what they learn and what they experience. But in essence, tell us a little.
It's really going to. Ooh.
Wow, that was the United States. That was your yourself. That was your some part of you saying no. Be quiet.
Yeah, it's about the raves. It's about our connection to the raves and kind of looking at that in a more technical and cosmic lens,
Hmm.
and our role in their birth.
It's funny too because our theme is celebrating ascension, and most of the imagery looks like it's at a rave. So that's kind of funny, and so does your background. So it's kind of cool. Well, we're looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to the next journey with you in the next chapter, because it's been quite a wild toad ride so far. Putting all the Humpty Dumpty pieces together, but this next chapter that I feel happening and already starting to happen for me is just new shift that I never thought would happen. And I can't even quantify it just yet, but there's just things in life in my own consciousness that I'm seeing that I didn't see before. I don't know if it's because I'm quiet, I have things to do now. I have nothing to do now. That I don't have, these deep problems that I'm always trying to figure out, and it was always there, or if they're opening up. What's your perception?
I think that there's so much available to us by the day, and
Mm,
I think that we are. I mean, even this week we're in gate 51 as of today, and for the next 6 days, and it's the gate of shock and initiation, like whatever happened over there just now. It's about
mm,
these little moments where life opens up and kind of gives us a wormhole into something we weren't expecting, but it always catalyzes us to come back towards our true capability, our expanded consciousness, something we need to see, something we need to activate. Um, and so it's like, I think it's really important to be available to be the witness and to be paying attention to all the little hints that are coming through on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis,
mm.
because we are, our future selves, our higher selves are guiding us right now.
Yes.
And so if we are the, receptive partner to that, we get to have a really fun ride here in this lifetime.
Yes, it's well put. Which is, I think, the real reason we pray. I don't feel like, I think the church diverted us and like, pray to God because he'll never answer. It's like, it's your higher self that you're trying to talk to. Connect to the part of you that's, stoned up in the company of heaven. That's the part we're trying to connect to. And like bring that wisdom down here. Like, why the fuck do we sign for this anyways? Kind of thing. Yeah. It's compelling. And tell us how we can work more with you before the event, before Unite the Light, before people can see you in person. And I don't know if you give out signatures or vibrational signatures, but what do you have going on in your site? What can we do with you?
This April, we are starting the 5D container, which is called Quantum Alignment University.
Ooh.
And it is a combo of all my best work in a 6 months format.
Huh.
So we'll be setting that energetic calibration component where you're held to the standard of your 5D self, but you're
Mm.
also learning all of the components that help you build fidelity in that new self, week by week. And we're pairing it with really powerful group activation meditations. It's basically like group energy work.
Mm.
And I have a great friend named Mackenzie who comes in and guides us through that. So I teach, I hold the energy, I help kind of coach people and see what they don't see. And then Mackenzie brings in her energy prowess, and we really shift some amazing stuff and get some very exciting results. So, this is the first time we're doing it in a 6 months container. It seems like it's a sweet spot, and I'm really excited to start towards the end of the month.
I think it's a sweet spot too. I'm not talking about me, but I'm doing certification for step astrologers. 6 months is what I downloaded as necessary. I just did the diamonds for 6 month periods, for 2 6 month periods. I saw the effect of it. In 6 months, the sun and Earth have touched every sign, so every position is touched, and that's what I discovered. If you can just touch the client in those 6 oppositions, they can transform. And what you're doing, I see, is starting to happen. The light workers who are out there preaching are now teaching. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing academies and universities and Hogwarts over and over, where people are bringing their expertise to these realms. And it seems like a lot of our focus going forward, we'll talk about Unite the Light and compare notes, is okay. Now it's time to train for the new human.
Absolutely. That's number one, what it's all about right now.
Hmm.
And I'm having my 5D birthday celebration on Monday, and everyone's invited. And I'll give you your 5D chart as a party favor. So you should come to that.
Is there like a link or something, or do I have to get to 5D somehow? Shit.
There's a link. We have a portal for you. You can find it on my Instagram. You can email me at hello@htmaven. You can, I think there's a QR code somewhere with some links. If you download the guide, you'll get an email. The email has the invitation in it.
Oh,
And it's gonna be really fun.
I can't. What time is it at, man?
5 p.m. Pacific.
I can just make it. Jesus, that's when my meetings end. So that's perfect. Thank you for making it around my schedule. I appreciate that. Must be part of the 5D experience. It's perfect for everyone, right?
We know.
Yeah. Do we have to bring you some sort of 5D present, or?
No, just yourself and your willingness, and try to get registered before the weekend, because I'll grab those emails and then I'll send out another email to get your birth info and pull the chart and send it back to you. So be checking your email.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Well, dude, I will be at your 5D birthday party, and honored. And that's awesome. I think it's a great thing you're doing there. And people are asking the whole time, how can you get my 5D chart? Well, I guess we're all going to see each other at the 5D birthday party of Dylan and Design Maven. Yeah. No, seriously, we should all go. I'm going to talk to my staff too. We're all going now. And I guess we'll see you at the Night Light, man. I'm excited.
So excited. It's so close. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it came up really quickly as time has been speeding up. So
yes.
We'll have to catch up after the summer, and see how the portal went for all of us, and compare notes on what we experienced at this Unite the Light, because the sun's conjuncting Uranus this time. So on the first day, Sun conjuncts Uranus this time, which is interesting dynamic. That's why we decided to have it the same day. We're like, it needs to be on the birthday every year.
I received some very interesting intel about what's going to happen at Unite the Light, and it's you'll see. See you there.
I think that's great. Great hook. Thank you. We'll give some more hits maybe at the 5D birthday party. So show up, everyone. Show up and sign up this weekend. Thank you, Mr. Maven.
Thank you, Sensei.
And beam back later. We'll see you backstage.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, that was perfect. He did that and he left. I love it. Oh my God, that was a great session, if you will. If you guys don't know Design Maven, he's awesome, and I don't know how to describe him. He's like my Spock. You know, he's like, he's from another world, and he's like helps me with stuff that I don't even know about, and I wouldn't know about if it wasn't for him. So I just love, you know, and what I'm finding, I don't know if y'all are, but I am, like right now, and he's right. We're doing you know, Unite the Light next year in Palm Springs, and I was told to come to Palm Springs next year. We're going to announce it, of course, at the event. We're going to be able to buy tickets early and things like that. But we are being pulled around the country in different places. But my point is, like, I have been meeting people, like new friends. I've been meeting new friends constantly since I moved here, just on the most random places. And I'm talking, when I say a friend, I mean like I want to take him home. I want to be hanging out with them all the time. And I haven't felt friendship like this since I was in high school, to be honest with you, the kind of camaraderie I'm feeling. So I feel like we are definitely being put together, the new tribe. I feel like, you know, Unite the Light is meant to be one of the capitals. I'm sure there'll be others. I know my fellow colleagues are creating similar events. I mean, we're just going to be traveling the world at these different events, and we need each other. We need to come together. I guess that's my final message. It's like, you know, the world's about to get really tough, I have to say, and that's not even a threat of fear. That's a threat of, God, do we have to do it hard anymore? Do we have to do it without each other? You know, I'm tired of doing things by myself. Aren't you? Are you tired of being a silo? You know, right now I'm, you know, broadcasting in one room in my house. No one's here. You know, I think that's over now, and I think you have to make the effort, you know, to come and come hang out with us, because once you do, you will never forget it. And this is the beginning of where dreams are made, literally, because everyone that left Unite the Light last year, they all had like superpowers of creation, feeling good, feeling potent, feeling fertile for weeks afterwards. And I'm not making that up. Anyone there will tell you that. It's not a joke. So for some reason, we're in Nashville. We've got some surprises up the store. There's things we're not even telling you about the event because we want this to be a surprise event. So it's you know, celebrate ascension. But that's because we're ascending while we're there. And we have several cool surprises along the way. And you have to be there to know it. By the way, you can now finance the tickets. So people are like, they want to finance them. Boom, it's on the site. You can finance it over 12 months. So, you know, that's a very low payment. So really, it's just like you hitchhike a ride, man. If you want to go to Woodstock, you should go to Unite the Light. All right, friends, that's all we have for this week. I'll be back in 1 week. I can't wait to see you then. Until then, enjoy. Maybe I'll see you at the 5D birthday party of Dylan. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be. Catch your favorite shows on Sirius Joy TV. On Thursday, did you catch LOL Leading Out Loud with psychic medium Scott Cruz and myself? Watch us throw a spiritual food fight as we examine health trends using our psychic powers today. And then catch AstroMingle for a mega astro conversation with guest Nathan Perkins of Electro Astrology. We'll explore how understanding the planets can reveal your superpowers and answer your questions about life. All part of Serious Joy TV. The Unite the Light Lightworker Summit is reborn in 2025, May 17th to 19th, reincarnating in Nashville, Tennessee, the capital of country music light. If you live to make the world a better place, we invite you to gather and co-create for 2 days. Day 1, meet curated, love-infused influencers sharing strategies and innovation. Day 2 calls for conscious conversations. Lightworker power panelists discuss industry urgent topics. And for the first time, you requested, we co-created a third day, a 36-hour, ultra-private, closed-door whisper summit. We call it Afterglow, where 2 or more gather. Afterglow is a secret identity Congress of Light, featuring high-wattage leaders of light who share unpublished career advice and trade secrets. It all takes place in the luxurious Gaylord Opryland Hotel, where you may enjoy a full spa, poolside drinks, and tasty dining. And don't miss the Honky Tonk Supper and Step Networking event happening Saturday night. Wear cowboy attire, feast, learn astro secrets about you and cosmic allies. Consider this an invitation. Let us celebrate our ascension at the brightest gathering of love in the world. Tickets on sale now at unitethelight.love. That's unitethelight.love. Hi, it's Sensei Christopher Witecki, the founder of the Diamond Egg Club. I have a saying in the club: whenever the stock market goes bear, the Lightwalker market goes bull. And I think we're about to see more bull runs than ever before. If you'd like help, one-on-one help with coaching to your Lightworker program or your business for success, if you have a solution for humankind, let me tell you, humankind is going to need one. Visit for more details. I'm now looking for diamonds today at SenseiChristopher.com.